Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of the Spurs Chat podcast. Spurs have just drawn 0-0 away at Frankfurt in the Champions League. Yes, there are a lot of people worried about where I am, but it was actually these divas taking their time to come on the stream rather than me. I actually got back to my hotel really, really quick. Yes, wow. Yes, Tottenham Hotspur have just drawn 0-0. I was told by Andy Linden on this very channel on Saturday that this game would finish 0-0. I cannot believe it. I've got three very special guests with me today. I've got Craig, Ricky, and Darren to talk about today's game. First of all, Craig, let's come to you. How are you?
I'm all right. Sorry, I've got the giggles. Darren was making me laugh before we came on. I've got a lot. Sorry. Yeah. I'm not too bad. Let's get into this. Let's get into this better performance tonight, which is great.
At least everyone's smiling. We've got impressionist Darren Altman with us. Darren, how are you?
I'm very good, man. I'm very good. I was listening to Andy Linden, and I'll tell you something. I don't know why he put his hand up over here, but he was doing that for some reason. And I'll tell you what, Emerson Royal, I'd rather have the geezer from the royal family on.
Down.
We've also got Ricky Norwood back with us. Actor Ricky Norwood. Ricky, how are you?
I'm good, my friend. I'm giggling after that as well. Yeah, man. My gosh, you leave Andy alone, all right? You leave him alone, Dal. It was a great impression, though. But yeah, looking forward to getting into this, boys. Let's have it.
Do you know what, Ricky? I actually thought of you on Sunday because I was struggling doing the London Marathon on Sunday, and there was about 2 miles to go, and I needed a little bit of energy. And then I saw an advert for a marathon in Watford, and it actually made me laugh out loud, and I thought of you.
Oh, bro, I should have sent you a bloody motivational speech, shouldn't I? Oh, man, but well done to you, and well done to Richard as well. I mean, amazing what you done there.
It was a great event. It really was. Ricky, let's start the show with you. Frankfurt 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0. What did you make of the game tonight?
Improved performance, first and foremost. Improved performance. We played a lot of the time on the front foot. It was a battle, don't get me wrong. Frankfurt are not an easy team to play against. They play the same system as us, and they play fast football as well. So, you know, we all know that they've won the Europa League last year. So, yes, they've lost a couple of players, but they're still strong. And they want to prove themselves in front of that crowd, which I want to ask you about, Chris, when I finish this rant. But it was an amazing crowd. It was an amazing atmosphere. There was questions over whether Tottenham can handle the pressure under that type of atmosphere and under that type of occasion after the weekend. And I felt that the boys stepped up today. I think the boys wanted to show us, at least, that defeat on the weekend did affect them, and they're going out to show us that they wanted to bounce back, and they all wanted to play for us. And look, we didn't have it all our way, but it was an improved performance across the park. And it's just, again, like the commentary was saying, actually, it was just like the final ball, the final tweak. But we had plenty of chances tonight. We pressed high, the line was high, we defended high, we attacked high. It was all on top today, and right until the last minute as well, right until the last second. And it was great to see that from the boys. We haven't got it all right quite yet, but at least we can see that there's a reaction, and that's what I'm pleased about tonight. But tell us about that crowd, Chris. Bloody hell.
You mentioned about that crowd. I'll tell you what, when people say about a 12th man, that really is a 12th man inside that stadium. A fantastic stadium, by the way. Really, really lovely stadium to go into. And they just don't stop chanting. They don't stop singing. It is incredible. Everybody is jumping up and down every minute. The whole 90 minutes, you've got fans jumping up and down. And I'll tell you what, I would love the Spurs stadium to be like that, because every celebration, every song, every single fan gets involved, which is just so lovely to see. The amount of flags, the amount of banners in their stand behind the goal, incredible electric atmosphere. And I tell you what, when we play Frankfurt at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium next week, I bet it will be like a mini version in there. So that's going to be another very difficult game next week. But yeah, incredible atmosphere inside that stadium this evening. Craig, let's come to you. Your thoughts on tonight's game?
It was better, definitely. It was definitely better than Saturday, but then again, it could have been a lot worse. There was a fair bit that we still got wrong in the final third, as Ricky was saying. We just weren't clinical. And in fact, Conte says here, this was a good performance from the start. We put in a lot of pressure and were aggressive in every zone. At the same time, we didn't risk a lot. We created chances, but if I had to find a situation to improve, then we have to be more clinical. And I think he's probably hit the nail on the head. That's what I would take from the game myself. Those passes in the final. So I thought Højbjerg and Bentancur were great in the centre of the park, but it was just that clinicalness. I think Son was trying to break in a pair of boots for somebody with 2 left feet tonight because his passing was off. I thought Kane was okay. Richarlison battled, but it was just those final passes and the crosses. But definitely an improvement on Saturday. And it's good. Like Ricky said, it was good to see us breaking from the front, pressing higher up the pitch and trying to win the ball higher up the pitch. It makes all the difference, and you could see they're up for it tonight.
What about you, Darren? What do you think of it?
Yeah, I mean, improved. Normally, when we get badly beaten or play well, you know what I'm like. I'm the glass half full. I always think that we'll learn from it and we'll come out fighting the next game, and often we don't. And it's like, oh fucking hell, man! Like, what, we learn nothing. But today there was an improved performance, and tactically, which I'm sure we'll discuss. We could see what was happening. We were higher up the pitch. Dyer was pinging, I think, 3 or 4 balls to Royal. So that was obviously, so not only were we pressing high and we were trying to get up and play through them more, but we were trying to come in behind them, which was an interesting tactic as well. So yeah, I mean, all in all, a better performance. Still don't see what Royal brings to the party, even though he was more into it today. I just don't, I don't get it. Don't get it with him. But yeah, and very, very strange actually to see us not be clinical in the final pass, because we're not used to it. We're not used to it. I thought the midfield played well. Defensively, we were all right. But yeah, it's strange because we're just so used to seeing Kane turn and smack a ball to Sonny, or Sonny turn and smack a ball to Kane, and the next thing you know, the net's flapping. But it was quite weird. It was, the head in the hands moments. Fucking hell, tonight, all night. It was quite weird that we didn't get that goal, I thought. We're not used to seeing that. Like crap link-up play, as opposed to like, what we, great passing and that sixth sense that we're used to seeing with Kane and Son.
Just before we get into talking about the main game, earlier on today in the UEFA Youth League, Marseille lost 6-0 at home to Sporting, and Frankfurt beat our under-19s 1-0. We only had a couple of chances actually. Alfie Devine went close in the first half, and Jaden Williams went close in the second half. Other than that, didn't really create a lot in that game. In the Europa Youth League, Spurs are third. We've now played 3, we've won 1, we've lost 2, and we've got 3 points. Sorry, who was trying to say something?
Chris, I don't think that Sporting result is right, bro. I'm sure that Marseille won 3-1, didn't they? They had I think Sporting had a goalkeeper sent off. They scored in the first minute.
No, it's a Youth League, Rick.
Youth League.
What, this one? That was the Youth League.
This is the Youth League, yes.
All right, cool. I was like, what's going on here, man? I was like, it was confusing the hell out of me. All right, sorry, bruv. Sorry.
Yeah, that was an away game to Spurs one there. I see that. That was.
This is an away game, Ricky. I'm in Frankfurt, and the game that I went to earlier, Frankfurt beat Spurs under-19s 1-0. Come on, Ricky, pick it up, man.
It's late, man. It's late, all right?
And now the Champions League Group D. Look, you're now confusing me. I'll tell you what.
Sorry.
Let's go straight to it, and let's talk about the starting 11. Ricky, let's start with you on the starting 11. Lloris, Royale, Romero, Dyer, Lenglet, Perisic, Bentancur, Højbjerg, Richarlison, Son, and Kane. The 12 subs for Spurs tonight: Forster, Austin, Sanchez, Davis, Doherty, Spence, Sessegnon, Skip, White, Basuma, Sarr, and Brian Hill. Any surprises there for you?
Well, you know what? I think that I was saying this. You never guess who I was speaking to before the game. Any guesses?
Anthony Costa.
Oh, you got it in one, bruv. You got it in one. All right. Sending love to Costa, as always. But we had to have a little rant about Romero. And but I think that Conte gave it away yesterday. He said that, he doesn't trust Doherty right now. And, Spence is a prospect. And then he said that Brian Hill was the first attacking option that would be on the bench, which I think kind of gave it away to me, which meant they was going to play 3-4-3 again, and Romero was going to play because he's suspended in the league. He's not suspended in the cup. So I was a little bit disappointed that was, I felt that we could have given Spence a go. But I totally understand it. I totally understand what he's doing. He kind of gave Royale the opportunity to kind of give something back after that red card and after that performance on Sunday. Like Darren was saying, he didn't really pull up any trees, but at least it was an improved performance on Saturday, So yeah, with the starting 11, I was hoping that maybe he would have chucked Basuma in there. Maybe we would have gone 3-5-2. But like I said, he gave it away for me in the press conference when he said that Hill was going to be the first attacking option. I knew that Richarlison, Sonny, and Kane were going to play. So no, it didn't really surprise me, Chris.
What did you make of those comments, though, Ricky? Because Conte on Brian Hill, he said, he's our first option for our attack because Kulusevski and Moura are out. We wanted to see him go out on loan to Valencia, but for many circumstances, the situation has changed. I trust him. One hand, he's saying he wanted him to go out on loan, but on the other hand, he's saying he's trusting him. What do you believe?
It's Conte chess. It's a bit of both. I think he's been very kind of open with the whole Brian Hill situation. I think we all can see, and this is what went against Brian today when he came on the field. But he's easy to push off the ball. And the first thing that happened is he was trying really hard. He done a little wriggle on the right-hand side, and then the Frankfurt guy just pushed him out of the way and took the ball off of him, and then they were on an attack. Do you know what I mean? So I think that I think that he's truthful. I think that we all know that he was looking for a loan to go back to Valencia so that he could continue his development or to continue his growth. But we didn't get the person in that could cover that position and make it, because he wants two in every position, doesn't he? So, he's got to say that he trusts him because he's part of the Tottenham squad right now. But at the same time, he knows that he has to develop. So, look, he's got some minutes tonight. I kind of like what Conte said in the previous in the press conference building up to this, when he was basically saying, trust me, I'm going to make the decisions. Trust me. I've won everywhere I've gone, and we'll get it right. And I kind of like that he gave that straight line to all of us fans to kind of let us know where he's standing. The same way he's straight with the boys in training when they are playing, when they ain't playing. He was straight with the fans as well. And it's like, look, fans can think what they want to think. They're always going to have that opinion because we live and breathe the Tottenham Hotspur and anything to do with that team. But he sees them on training, and we've got to trust his judgment. And I kind of thought, you know what? Cool, I like that. So I think he was playing Conte chess with Brian Hill, and I think he was pretty truthful. He wanted him out on loan, but at the same time, if he's got to put him on the field, he trusts him to do a job.
Craig, let's come to you.
If he would have crushed him.
Craig, let's come to you on that same subject. As Ricky mentioned there, Conte said the fans have to be fans. They can think everything. But I see every day what happens during the training session. I try to do my best. My choices are mine. If I decided to pick one player, it's because he's not ready. Talking about Spence, that was. And then he went on to say, I tried to pick the best team. Also, Doherty last season played every game. Now I'm not seeing him in the right way to start the game. I'm not stupid. I don't want to lose. I try to pick the best team. What do you make of this right wing back situation? I cannot believe on yet another episode we are talking about the right wing back situation. It's just like a given. And even a comment on screen now from 2000 GT. Stats show a majority of the attacking moves come down the right. How are Spence, Doherty swapping Perisic or Forster not a better option than Emerson Royale?
Forster.
It's right. And Arsenal targeted our right hand side, didn't they, on Saturday? So you know they can, when the opposition sees where your weaknesses are, you know that speaks volumes. So I don't know whether this is a bit of stubbornness from Conte, or you know saying essentially, look, I'm going to do it my way no matter what. Which you know I've got time for. I get that. That's what he's paid the big bucks for, and he won't bend to pressure. But you know, I personally have been banging the drum as well, like a lot of people on wanting to see Jed Spence. Of course, we don't see him in training. You know, is he ready? But for me, throw him in the last half hour of a game and let the fans see what he's like. He can't be any worse than Emerson Royale. I'm sorry. I'm sure Emerson's a lovely chap and he's a great athlete, but he's just not the answer down that right-hand side. And, you know, if Conte says Doherty's not fit enough, I mean, he didn't have a great entrance on Saturday, did he? He did play a dodgy ball across the box. But, you know, it wasn't an easy game to come into. I want to see Jed Spence have a run. I really want to see Jed Spence have a run because for me, and I said this on, you know, another pod a few weeks ago, if Conte's system is all about the wing backs getting forward, back and forward, we've lost 50% of that with playing Emerson. Does that make sense? Because you've got Perisic doing it and you've got Sessegnon doing it to a certain degree. But on the right-hand side, you're losing 50% of that creativity. There's not much coming through the middle because we don't play with a three in the middle. That's fine. If you've got a Maddison or an Ericsson or something like that in the middle, that's fine. But he said that's where the creativity is coming from. And Emerson Royale is not a creative player, and he never will be a creative player because he's just not got in the locker. You can't. I truly think to be a wing back, it's a very specialist role. You're either kind of got that natural ability to play a wing back. You can teach somebody to play it to a degree, but they're never going to be as good as somebody who plays it naturally. And Jed Spence is a natural wing back, and we've got him at the club. He's big, he's strong, he's fast, which I've always said you can't mark pace. He's skillful. I've seen enough of him to think he deserves a chance, and I personally think that he's got to give Spence a chance. He says he ain't ready, but let the fans see it. If he comes on and has a shocker, at least the fans will go, okay, fair enough. You know, but give the boy a chance because I think it's getting to a point now where you got to, all right, perhaps not. You could argue tonight 0-0, we didn't concede, but it's just not good enough. That creativity is not coming from that side, and I think that's going to be a massive thing going forward. Massive thing, especially, you know, Brighton ain't no mugs. They're going to be tough on Saturday.
This might be an unpopular opinion, but I thought Emerson actually done all right tonight. Darren, what do you think?
I mean, he was functional, you know. But I just think he's weak, and I would echo what Craig just said. You know, for me, a wing back is Simon Davies, it's Carl Walker, it's Danny Rose. I mean, if they're not a wing back, they're just a midfielder. Isn't a wing back's job to bomb down and beat players? And Perisic does it. All right, he's 33, 34 now. You know, and he does like his step overs. But on the right hand side, you just don't get that. And I completely agree with Craig. Like, he's not 16 or 17, he's 22. Like, give him half an hour. Start, and if he's getting mullered by on the right hand side, then take him off. But you know, at least let him have a go. I don't get it. And you know, all right, Royal, he didn't balls up massively, but there was, what was I writing? Yeah, there was a few incidents that he was playing higher up the pitch, which is good. He was getting in positions. He was getting into their box more, but he was also getting beaten and making wayward passes. Like, I don't think he brings a lot to the party. I really don't. And I like Craig said, I'm frustrated that you know, if you've made a point of I don't know whether it was Paratici or who earmarked Jed Spence, but if you've made the effort to sign him, play him. Otherwise, it just doesn't make sense. Might as well sign me and stick me on the bench. Doesn't make sense. I don't get it.
Jed Spence is a club signing, though, Darren.
Right.
It's not an Antonio Conte signing.
Yeah, but he signed off on it. He did say in that same interview that he
said,
not
yeah,
have,
okay.
No, but they have picked Spence out, and Ali Gold has said this, that they've kind of pinpointed him, and he's ticked every box that Conte wants. And he might not be at the level that Conte wants right now, but he is a player that ticks every single box that he's looking for, and he's going to develop into that player. But he did say he wouldn't take a player. A player can't be forced on him. He did green light it. He did look at it, and he said, "Okay, cool." Yeah, he said, "Okay, cool." But if he didn't want him, and if he wanted somebody else, and it was a choice between Spence and somebody else, he would have made that clear. Conte's no fool. And we know, especially when it comes down to the transfer period, in his previous clubs, he's no fool. He understands what the club is. He understands what's going on, and he's looked at it and gone, "Okay, cool." Yes, bring him in, and he was hoping, and I think we were all hoping that maybe one more was going to come in to be the first team right wing back. That didn't happen, and now we've got to rely on the ones that are in our squad, i.e., Emerson Royal and Doherty. So,
Conte said in his Conte said in his press conference that I think if you say now we have to take steps and have patience. If you compare Champions League with the Europa League or Conference League, it's completely different. You have to play with your strongest 11, and it makes it difficult to make changes. I think he means there. So obviously, whether you take that as from the start of the game or during the game, he obviously doesn't trust certain players. I mean, we haven't even spoke about Sarr, have we? We haven't even seen him. We talk about Spence. We haven't even seen Sarr and what he can do. So he's on these players might be on the bench, but he's clear he doesn't trust them for whatever reason. Don't know why.
Darren, do you think Emerson Royal has improved since last season?
I mean, tactically, he was getting up higher at the pitch today, so it was. I'll give him that, and he spent more time on the ball. But no, I don't think he's. When we went to Chelsea, we saw him getting destroyed, at the bridge. But like I said, I just don't see what he offers, and I think even if you gave him a season or 2 seasons, I don't think we're going to get a tune out of him. I just don't think that he offers that traditional wing back role. I just don't see it. I don't think he's got the pace. I don't think he's strong enough. I'm fed up of seeing him get the ball nicked off him or getting wayward passes. I don't. I just really don't see what he brings to the party. I'm sorry. I don't. If he went, we wouldn't miss him. We really wouldn't.
And you know what? Spence would have probably put, those 3 chances that, the ball over from Dyer and it fell to Emerson Royal. I think he had like 2 or 3 chances. Look, man, I'd put my money on Spence putting one of those away. Do you know what I mean? Just because naturally he likes to strike the ball. Naturally, he enjoys scoring and can do that. That's part of his game. So I hear what you're saying, Dal. But it was an improved performance today, Chris.
With those comments, Ricky, from Antonio Conte in the week about Jed Spence and about Matt Doherty, how do you think that they're feeling right now? Because they, every player goes on social media. They know how the fans feel. There's a lot of flack for Emerson Royal. How do you think those players are feeling, thinking that, Emerson Royal is better than me?
Well, that's when the ego comes in, isn't it? But there's been a big clamour for Spence, like you say, online. A lot of the fans are calling for him, so he knows that we've kind of got his back, and we're shouting in his corner for him to get some game time. So I suppose that's an encouragement. At the same time, I'll take into account what Perisic said about the younger players or the newer players that have come in. You've got to realise you're at a bigger club. And this is what we have to shift as well. This is what the players are doing. Their mentality is trying to shift into that bigger club mentality. And us as fans, we're trying to get into that bigger club mentality as well. Where it's not about dropping a player, it's about rotating. It's about this, Perisic was saying that once those young players kind of keep working hard and wait for your chance, but when you come in, you've got to take your chance. You've got to play well. You've got to be ready. But it does take a minute. Perisic as an example, when Conte got hold of Perisic first time, he didn't want nothing to do with that wing-back role. So ended up going to Bayern for a year. Ended up smashing it there and came back and was, his head was better. He had a better understanding of the position and then started to smash it week in, week out for Inter. So I think that as an example we can give to those young ones. And I don't think Spence would be demoralized. I think it's just more the kind of step up and the understanding of a Conte system. With the comments about Doherty, it can only motivate, but I'll tell you what, I've said it many a time, and I don't want to just get on his back all the time, but I don't really believe in him. He had 4 to 5 great games, really good games. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Above average games. But for 2.5 seasons, I saw absolutely nothing. Emerson Royale, in his defense, we've only had him 1 season and a couple of months. Do you know what I mean? So if you're going to be calling for Doherty's name when he was shocking for 2.5 seasons and then he comes in and plays 4 games that were good, that looked good, then maybe we can give Emerson a little bit more time. But, well, we're going to have to until January anyway. So we're going to have to try and encourage him to kind of give a bit more. But you've seen his attitude in trying to spend £1 million, and like I said to you the other day, I hope he's got his receipts, but he spent £1 million on improving himself and studying Hakimi. So let's see if that
Ricky, what would you spent £1 million on? Say that again.
Yeah, so Emerson Royal spent £1 million on coaches and a scouting report on Hakimi from PSG to improve and to fulfill the right wing-back slot to Conte standards. So he's actually paid from his own money to try and improve himself, which you've got to kind of applaud. You've got to say, okay, he's trying to put his best foot forward. It might not be happening right now, but from that shocking performance on Saturday to today's performance, we've seen at least a bit of a bounce back, a bit of pride about him to go, I want to do the best that I can. It might not be the best for us, but it's the best that he could put forward. And let's hope that those steps can go that way.
I actually do see some improvement in Emerson Royale. I really do. And I know that's going to be an unpopular opinion.
So what did you see? What did you see, Chris?
Oh, hold on.
Come on, sunshine.
Because even before the matches now and the player warm-ups, he is doing a lot more. They were having him practicing crossing. Now they've got one of the coaches in front of him. Now he's got to take him on and now cross the ball, etc. But in the opening 15 minutes, a couple of incidents. Craig, let's come to you on this. In the 6th minute, a ball played over, it bounced. Emerson Royale hit it over the bar. He should have got it on target, yes. But in the 15th minute, I tell you what, I smiled at this incident because I haven't seen it ever before. When Emerson made his debut at Crystal Palace under Nuno Espirito Santo last year, when we lost 3-0, made his debut, and I said instantly, this guy just cannot take a man on. And I've never seen him take a man on. Every single time he gets up to a player, he then looks to pass it inwards or backwards. And I don't like to see that because, particularly that he's Brazilian, he's meant to be a flair player, which all of them are. To not take a player on, it's not good enough. Certainly in that position, what Antonio Conte expects. But in the 15th minute, Emerson actually went to take a player on, put the ball past the player, and he got elbowed in the face. He didn't do it after that. But I love to see that. Craig, we want to see more of that.
What, the elbowing in the face? I think, yeah, definitely want to see that.
Chris, isn't it saying something where he beats a man once and you lose your shit?
And I get excited. Exactly, because the amount of games that I've seen him, and I'm shouting out loud, take the player on. And the fact that he actually took the player on, yes, I got excited. That says a lot, doesn't it?
Well, yeah.
It does. It's I'm in the camp.
There are small improvements.
Yeah, I do get what you're saying, but I think the wing back role, it's easier to turn a winger into a wing back than a right back into a wing back, because when you're a wing back, the wing part of it, I think it's easier. Having played football, I would say it's easier to be a winger than a defender. I speak from experience in that I like going forward. I hate defending, so it's easier to teach the defensive part. You could kind of get away with. Do you know what I mean? But when you're on your own and you're trying to cross the ball, does that make sense? I probably haven't explained that very well. But if it comes naturally to cross the ball and beat a player, it's easier to do that than you know what I mean. I might be talking rubbish, but that's how I see it. And I don't think you'll ever teach him, or he'll be able to learn that role, because it's just not a natural thing for him to do. I think he's a much better right back. If we were just playing 4 across the back and he didn't have to get forward that much, I think he'd probably just be a fine, solid right back. But that's not the job we want him to do. And as Ali Gold said, the best you're going to get is a corner, literally, when he goes forward and crosses the ball. And it's just not good enough when you've got a ready-made person in Spence on the bench. And I'll keep banging the drum for Jed Spence, because I can't see it can be any worse than Emerson Royale. I get what you're saying, Chris, that he beat a man, excellent. But I just don't think we see enough of it, and I don't think we ever will.
It's one of the highlights of my trip.
Yeah, well, when you look at poor bastard. He went to Rennes. That was terrible. You haven't seen us win in the last. Was it 2021? One of the last games?
It's madness. It's madness. Yeah.
What did you prefer? Emerson beating that man once, or that lovely brat verse that you have?
Oh, that looked nice.
I'll tell you what, if people have never been to Germany, when you come to Germany, the sausages, the currywurst and all of that, unbelievable. Fantastic. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, brilliant. Well, also in the 18th minute, Emerson blocked a shot, which I thought defensively, I thought he played well today. Darren, you got any more to say on Emerson?
No, I mean, I think it's been said. A wing back's role, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is to run and beat your man and get a cross in. That's what they do, and we haven't seen that with him. Maybe he's a right winger and he's not a wing back. I mean, you could argue that Perisic on the left-hand side isn't really doing his job. He seems to, in the final third, if he receives the ball in the final third, he'll do his step over, run and get a nice cross in. But any deeper, he hasn't got the legs to beat his man on the left-hand side. I think we missed that. We missed those. There you go. Yeah. So I think we missed that on the left and the right, to be honest. And when Sessegnon came on, at least he's got a marathon hangover. You'll have to excuse. He still thinks he's crossing Tower Bridge. I think we missed that on the left hand side as well. Actually, I think that Sessegnon has got the legs. I don't think Perisic has got the legs. That's
Ricky, let's come to you. In the 25th minute, Richarlison played in Heung-min Son. He crossed, no one there. Harry Kane seemed to run too early. What did you make of Harry Kane and Heung-min Son tonight?
I think that the whole front three were trying, and it was trying to work this link up. I think, I saw a lot of Richarlison defending. I think that Harry Kane and Sonny, they were finding a couple of touches here and there, and they was finding their kind of telepathic link up, but it would be cut out, or it was a little bit too long, or a little bit too short. It's just that final bit right now. It's just that tweaking, and I don't know whether they were so determined to bounce back from the weekend that everybody was kind of on edge and snatching at the chances rather than doing what they normally do. There was a point where we saw Harry Kane take the ball down, turn and shot. And, just because it's just normal. He knows where the goal is. He knows where it's just a natural thing to do. And that was slightly off itself, It's Sonny as well. When Perisic had that chance that ended up trickling onto the post, it was almost like he stood still for too long. I felt that if he would have like almost chased it in. He could have been there for a tap in, or he, you know. So there was that. It's just this little. It's this final bit. But to me, the most important thing tonight and the most positive thing tonight was the mentality, was the want, was the desire. You know, even up into the 93rd minute, there was desire to get a winner. We didn't sit back. We didn't hold on. We didn't play that possession play and run the clock down or anything like that. We were going for it. Even with Brian Hill in the side, we were going for it. Do you know what I mean? And we did try to make those opportunities work. There were a couple in extra time between the boys, Kane and Son, that was just missed it, or just slightly a fraction out, you know, whether that be the pass or the move or the timing. So it's coming. The boys know each other inside backwards, and they know when they're on song that the team's on song. And also Kulusevski being out has shown us how important that gentleman is to our side. You know, when he came in January, he changed him and Bentancur, but when he came in January, he totally changed the way that we played, and he totally changed the dynamic of how we played and how we progressed that ball forward. And him not being able to be on the right wing in the 3-4-3, goodness gracious, affects that formation and those tactics. I think he's been dynamite the games that he's played this season for us. I think he's ripped people apart. I think he looks dangerous on every foot. I think whether it's an assist or a shot or a cross, he's been there for it. And I think that we are really seeing how much we're missing the front three of Sonny, Kane and Kulusevski. Sonny and Kane will find it. They will find it. They showed tonight that they had the attitude and the mentality to try and find it. It's just that little bit. Now they have to get fed up and a bit angry and be like, you know what? Oh, you know what? This is over. I'm fed up of this drought. Let's make this happen now. Like but I think that their tension is snatching, and that's what's happening right now.
I did think, I've got to say that there were a couple of nice moves, like dummies, like Sonny, like leaving it, and that. So all that sort of stuff. I don't know whether that's training ground stuff or what. So there were elements of dummy. Yeah, there was a dummy from Son, and then a shot that went wide from Kane. So there was a little bit of there was a little bit of that going on. But it was just the final pass, the final, shot that didn't happen. But there was some really nice, intricate play, training ground stuff, which was, what's the word I'm looking for? It was promising, but it was just that final ball, as you say.
Craig, let's come to you. Barry writes on screen now, Son and Kane were dreadful. Basic passing was dreadful. None of you have said about the miss Son chances. Now, in the 28th minute, Harry Kane played in, turned, shot wide of the left post. Then in the 40th minute, Heung-min Son through, tried to put it in the top corner, wide and off target. We had opportunities in that first half, but we just couldn't get the ball on target. Didn't have a shot on target in the first 45 minutes.
No. I mean, I didn't think Kane was that bad, actually. I thought he was okay. I thought he was trying to link up play like he normally does. There was, like Darren said, there was a few good little slip passes there, step overs and stuff. So I didn't think he was that bad. Sonny...
talking about us.
Sonny wasn't particularly good again tonight, which is a bit of a worry. Again, I still think he's trying too hard. That one you were talking about, obviously we all know he should have just hit the target. He seemed to be just going for the top corner all the time rather than just trying to hit the target, which, probably more times than not comes off for him, but obviously didn't tonight. So you could see he was getting a bit frustrated again. It goes through your head as a striker like that. You think you're over the worst of it, you get the hat-trick, and then couple of games go by and you're not scoring again, and the demon starts to creep back in. So I don't care how much you get paid or who you are, it affects you like that, and that will have affected him tonight because he knows he should have had a couple of goals tonight. But it was disappointing in the final third because let's face it, that's the strongest part of our squad, isn't it? The front three, front four, however you want to look at it. Get the ball to them, you think, well, we're at least going to have shots on target. And again, like you say, we didn't have any in the first half. So bit of a worry. Should have killed the game off. but at least we were creating the chances where we weren't on Saturday. So it's funny, isn't it? You've said on here, Chris, many times that, you know, we haven't quite hit our stride and we were winning games. Are we going to be absolutely electric once it all clicks, you know, once everything comes together? You think it's coming, and then the next game we play like we did against Arsenal. You know, and when I watched, I don't know if anybody watched Match of the Day Saturday, I watched, or was it Sunday? I can't remember. But when you watch Manchester City play and the way Haaland plays, I mean, it's just so good, some of the goals they scored. And you think if that had been City playing them tonight, they would have beaten them 3-4-0. And that's where the difference is. You know, it shows how far we are behind teams like Manchester City. You know, and that's the difference, isn't it?
Since the Arsenal defeat of the weekend, which I know is all, you know, is very, very difficult for all of us to take, there has been a lot of negativity amongst the Tottenham fans, and a lot of people are saying that Spurs are quite boring to watch at the moment. What do you think about that? Spurs
to me,
are boring
with
to
that,
watch.
Chris.
Any of you?
I think we are. If I'm honest, there are times when I think we are boring to watch. I can't stand it when we sit back and hit them on the counter attack. Albeit when the counter attacks come off, it's like wow, you know. But it's happening less and less. I personally, preferred, and I hate to harp on about it, but peak Poch, I liked the way we kept control of the ball and created and fast. Yeah. Everything was fast. Everything seemed faster. I prefer that type of football. I prefer that free-flowing football. Now, Conte says he's not a defensive manager, doesn't he? You know, and we have scored a shed load of goals this year. But it's funny, we may have scored loads, but it doesn't seem like we're on the front foot all the time doing it. You know, it's a very strange one for me. I don't particularly like Conte's style of football, but it's been working. So I'm kind of caught, but I still think we need three in the middle with a creative midfield. I just prefer that way of playing myself, but that's just me personally.
How do you feel, Darren, watching Spurs? Like when you switch the TV on, the game's starting, do you feel really excited? Do you think you're going to see exciting attacking football?
Well, I think one thing that was pleasing today, which was that we came out and we attacked them from minute one. Like as soon as Dyer played those cross balls to Royal, and we saw, you could see it visually that we were higher up. We didn't sit back. I thought that's because we're so used to not playing for 20, 25, 30 minutes, I just don't get it. I mean, like Craig says, we have been scoring goals and we've been beating teams, Leicester, Southampton, but I'm just fed up of this. There are some teams that you've got to surely come out the blocks. We should have done it with Arsenal and we didn't, and that is frustrating. I don't get why we don't play for 20 minutes. Like it just doesn't make sense. And in terms of the style of football, there is an argument to say that we're no better off than when Jose played, because that was his tactics. We'd sit back and we'd have one defence splitting pass over the top, or the ball would come to Kane and he'd let Sonny in, or vice versa, and we could hit him on the counter attack. So you could argue, what's the difference between Jose and Conte? Is there one? It's the same theory, isn't it?
Yeah. Rick, let's come to you.
Can I jump in on that?
Go on.
I would say let's look at the end of last season. Those last 5-6 games when we was on the road to trying to get Champions League. That was some exciting football. The boys were on it. There was a mission, and that was exciting. You could see how that formation could be exciting. When we played against Southampton, obviously first game of the season, we went through the gears really, really quickly, and we got into top gear in the first half, and we were all over them. So much so that the opposition manager, Hassan Haidal, had to come out and go, when they switched the levels, I couldn't handle them and the team couldn't handle them. And then we didn't see it for a while. We do have a trait within us at the moment where we have these sleepy starts where like the boys were saying there, that for the first 20 minutes, it's slow. It's everything is like, it's backed off, and we're encouraging them to come on to us so that we can counterattack or chuck a ball over. But I think it's been a tough couple of games, okay? But I think that the true Tottenham we haven't seen yet. because everything about his system is attacking. There's only about 3 players that are defending, really. There'll be Dyer, and then there'll be Bentancur or Højbjerg that'll be really defending. But you'll see Romero, when he's on form, he's flying up the pitch. He's crossing over with the right wing back. The same as the left centre back. He's looking to cross over and provide more width on that side, or get a ball over the top and kind of support the midfield. Then we've got the front 3 as well that are all on attacking, plus 2 wing backs that are supposed to be attacking as well. So when the game actually does click, it's all out attacking formation. But it's this thing that I think that Dyer said the other day. He was asked, why did you play defensive, or why did you sit back? And he was like, the question was, did Conte ask you to do that? And he was like, no. Like, Conte wanted us to press and push up and press high. And so we've done this a couple of times under a couple of managers where even Mourinho said it at times, where he was like, no, I didn't tell him to sit back and park the bus.
I was going to
that's what they ended up doing. I think that comes down to a mentality, and I think that comes down to fear, and I think that comes down to
a shit Wi-Fi connection, doesn't it?
Protection.
Well, I was going to ask you, Ricky, if this isn't a mandate, if this isn't something that Conte has told the team to do, then where does it come from? Like, why for the season? Oh, there you go. It's got temp here in the fucking meter, isn't he? If this doesn't come from Conte, like, as if what Dyer's saying is correct, like, this isn't a tactic, this isn't a mandate that's come from him, then where does it come from? Why are we not playing for 25 minutes? Why? I don't get it.
It's a weird one, Darren, because everyone used to get on Jose Mourinho's back, thinking he was telling the team to be really defensive, and he wasn't.
Well, yeah. That's what I was trying to say when I didn't cut out. Sorry, guys, I'm on the Vega Wi-Fi. I didn't update my NordVPN, so sorry about that one. So.
Well, do you know, Ricky? You said about attacking. This is the halftime stats: 0 shots on target. Now,
is this the under 21s?
No, this is stats after 45 minutes, right? 0 shots on target. And as Craig said, Antonio Conte said tonight, we need to be more clinical. That is a crazy statement, isn't it? When you've got Heung-min Son, Harry Kane and Richarlison all up front.
Chris, they only had 1 shot on target in the first half. So it was a battle in the first half. And how many chances were created in that first half?
Yeah, but I'm not going on about them. I'm talking about us.
Yeah, but so did we not create chances in the first half? So we created chances like...
Well, we did, but we're just not clinical enough.
Yeah. And that's what we've been saying this whole show about the team. It's that final ball, it's that final pass, it's that final piece of the puzzle that we're missing right now. But I have faith in the boys that they're going to find it. Did I go? I don't know.
Craig, what do you put it down to? Because even in that second half, Arsenal at the weekend, no shots on target there either.
It's a funny one, isn't it? It is a funny one. I mean, they obviously, they're professional footballers. They must do shooting drills and all this, and you could see again a couple of the set piece plays today from corners. Obviously, Gianni Vio's been working with them on that, and they're not going to come off all the time, are they? We know that, but it's just varying it up and having the options here. But it is a bit of a worry when you've got 4 quality players like that up front when Kulusevski plays as well. But there was a cross Sonny put across to Kane in the first half, the one where his knees got stuck in the turf. I actually thought he'd done himself a bit of a mischief there, but he only needed to slot it across. He obviously needed to slot it across with a bit of power. The defender would have just cleared it, but it was a simple, as far as crosses go, I thought it was a fairly simple ball to put across, and he overhit it. He hit it about 100 miles an hour. And there was a couple of instances like that, So I don't know, is it a case of trying too hard? Is it feeling the pressure, which it shouldn't be? Just let it come naturally. They're quality players, and they're obviously not doing this deliberately. You know, that's the thing. I think people sometimes, when you read on social media, it almost seems like, oh, they're playing shit deliberately. It's not that. They really are trying. And you know, as far as Conte goes, I'm not sure. He can only generally. You can't influence somebody that much when they're actually on the pitch doing it. If they're having a crap game, they're having a crap game. You know, you should get substituted or whatever. You know what I mean? Don't care who you are, Harry Kane or whatever. There was periods towards the end of the game tonight, I thought Harry Kane looked knackered, actually. You know, whether he's tired mentally or whatever. I mean, he's only had a break for about 10, 15 minutes all season, hasn't he? Is that right? Even with England as well.
Yeah,
so
12 minutes he hasn't played,
12 minutes, yeah.
Yes. So that, you know, for the sake of bringing in Richarlison was supposed to give Kane a bit of a rest. It hasn't happened, does it? Now, obviously, it doesn't help that Kulusevski's injured at the moment. But I would question, would that happen even if he was fit? You know, it's obviously wants Harry Kane to play every minute of every game. But it's not going to be good. You know, he's just going to burn out. You know, having said that, is Haaland going to play every minute of every game? He possibly is, but I don't know. It's a funny one, and it is a bit of a worry because you would think with that forward line we would be a bit more clinical, and we're not at the moment, are we? It's not quite clicking, and I'm not sure what the answer is there.
Well, Antonio Conte described the performance as positive this evening. Darren, let's come to you. In the 51st minute, Heung-min Son to Perisic, he crossed, couldn't find Harry Kane. 3 minutes later, Richarlison to Heung-min Son, good chance, put it wide again. What did you make of Heung-min Son's performance today? Because, of course, he scored the hat-trick against Leicester, but quite quiet at the weekend.
I don't know.
Quiet tonight.
Maybe he's just... if you win the Golden Boot, the pressure's on you to sort of deliver that game after game, season after season. You know, he's got such a reputation now. But I mean, I don't know. He's a human being. You know, maybe he's just overthinking. You know, maybe he's just overthinking it too much. I don't know whether his dad's been on his back. I know that, you know, if you saw the documentary, you see what an important sort of role his father plays. I don't know. This is pure speculation. Maybe his dad's getting in his head. I really don't know, but it just seems that he's overthinking things now, and that sort of sixth sense that we're used to, that sort of the no-look passes, you know, between Son and Kane are just really not happening now. Christ knows. Listen, I don't know what goes on in the training pitch. I don't know what goes on inside his head. But, I mean, maybe it's just a case of him relaxing, enjoying his football a bit more and just letting it flow. Like Craig said earlier, you know, rather than trying to aim for the top corner, just get the bloody thing on target, you know. Yeah.
Ricky, what did you make of Frankfurt tonight?
I thought they were good. I thought they put they went for it. They play the same system as us, and you could see that they're comfortable in that system as well. Both of I know they've lost Kostic, who's a dynamite left wing back. But they've got a system. They've got the same way of playing, but they've got a young squad. They're hungry. They're strong. They're technically good in midfield as well as up front. So I think they done well, but I think it was it was almost a basketball game, but the scoreline was 0-0. So we was up and down, and you know they'd have 5 minutes, then we'd have 5 minutes, and then it was one of those. But what I was really impressed about from our point of view was that we started that way, and we started on a mission, and we done that for the first half and the second half. We've seen a drop off. Whether we kind of play that no football in the first half, go 1-0 down, or leave it 0-0 and then come out and then be a second half team, or when we've gone, it takes until we've gone 1-0 down for us to wake up. Well, the boys were on it today, and to me that just showed me a reaction from the weekend. You were talking about the first half and no shots on target in today's game, which was the same as the weekend. But at the weekend we didn't create that many chances. We wasn't really up the field. The defense and the midfield couldn't really get the ball to our forward players. You know, the Gooners cut us out at the right moments. Yes, we had a couple of chances, but nothing where we could be confident in saying we was going to go in there and win the game. So I think Frankfurt are a dangerous side. I think they're a good side. I think they're probably in the same position as us in a sense in the German league, where they're middle of the table, but they're trying to push and they're trying to challenge. I think I can't remember what position they're in right now, but they ended up beating Union Berlin on the weekend, who's top of the league in the Bundesliga right now. So they're a good side, and I felt that we went at them and they went at us, and it was a great battle. But I guarantee you, I got a feeling. I can't guarantee you, but I got a feeling. As soon as we get them back to White Hart Lane, as soon as we get them back to the Tottenham Stadium, that we'll be ready and we'll win that game.
Well, we'll look at the table in a second. Craig, let's come to you. Brian Hill, of course, come on as a sub late on. Do you think that he will get minutes in the Premier League in the next few weeks?
He probably will, as long as Kulusevski and Mora stay injured. That's the bottom line, isn't it? Conte said the other day that he's the next attacking option. It seems like he's got this hierarchy that he's going to stick to rigidly. And if one of them, the front three, looks like the front three are going to start every game, Richarlison, Kane and Son, and Brian Hill's going to be that bit part player to give one of them a rest if they get injured or just fancies making a change. So I think he will. It was a difficult one for him tonight. He did look a bit lightweight, but there's quite a few players of his stature out there that do absolutely fine. So I would like to see him and what he can do, to be honest with you. I think he deserves a run.
Darren, let's come to you. Let's look at the Group D table in the Champions League. Spurs are second in the table at the moment. We've played 3, we've won 1, we've drawn 1, we've lost 1. We've got 4 points. Frankfurt have also got 4 points in third spot. What have you made of Tottenham's campaign so far in the Champions League? Because, of course, we lost to Sporting, we've drawn against Frankfurt, and we beat Marseille. What have you made of our campaign in the Champions League so far, and do you think that we will go through to the next stage?
Well, I'm with Ricky. I think that once we get them back to White Hart Lane next week, I'm pretty confident that we can beat them. I didn't find them. Didn't think they were that impressive. I think they did a good job. They did a good job. They shut us out, but I didn't think they lit any fires, so to speak. So I think I'm pretty confident that we can win that. I mean, it's sort of slow and steady wins the race, really. I think our performance in the Champions League really echoes our performance in the Premier League. You know, we're not lighting any fires. We're not, but we're doing a good job. I'm sure we'll get through this group. Touch wood. I'm sure we'll get through this group, and then we'll see where we are afterwards. But it's weird. We're there and thereabouts, and yet we're not pulling up any trees, are we? We're not. I mean, if we can find this second gear and click on, God knows what we can do, you know. But we're there and thereabouts, and we're not doing that much. I mean, you know, we battered Leicester, and yet, you know, we can lose against. You can throw in the towel against Arsenal, you know, in the 60th minute. It's bizarre. It's bizarre. If we all start to click and the front 3 players click, and maybe you'll give Jed Spence a run out, God knows, then maybe we can. And Kulusevski comes back. Do you know how long he's out for, by the way?
Couple of weeks. Well,
if we get him back, you know, who knows? Maybe in a couple of weeks when we've got him back, we can kick on. I mean, you know, my glass is always half full. You know, let's see where we are when we get him back. I think we'll get through this group and we'll kick on.
Glass half full. I can't wait until the end. I'm asking you for the prediction for Brighton.
Yeah, do you know? Yeah. Okay, all right. Yeah. Good point. Well made.
Rick, let's come to you. There's a comment on the screen now. This is exactly what I was going to come to. We should be dominating this group instead of it being an open group. Now, when the Champions League draw was made, everyone was so excited thinking that we were going to walk this group. It's not been so easy, is it?
No, because all of the sides that we're up against as well, they've got and kind of a motivation to kind of they're feeling the same as us. I think Marseille feels the same as us, where they could be top of the table, and I think Frankfurt feel the same, and I think Sporting are the underdogs, but I think themselves, they feel that they've got enough in there to kind of get through the group. So I think that kind of gives us, it's an open, balanced group. Conte said it was a balanced group, and I think that's what he meant by that. But it's not a bad thing when we're under pressure in this group. We've got 3 games left. There's 9 points up for grabs. Yeah, and when we've been in the Champions League before, there's been times where after 3 games in the Champions League, we have to do something in the next 3 to kind of qualify or get through and put the pressure on. And sometimes that's, well, the majority of the time it's got the best out of us, and we've gone on and we've gone, and then after the group stage, then we kick on through the knockouts, So I think it's a good thing that there's pressure on us. And I think there's a good thing that there's a big pressure on us to win next week against Frankfurt and to go out group winners of this group or second and qualify. But either which way, we're getting through, mate. Like, we're getting through. The boys didn't work that hard all last season for us to get there and just kind of lay it all drop. They've done that before. They've been in the Conference League. If they want to go back to the Conference League, say so, boys. Say so, because we can ship you out to West Ham if you want. Do you know what I mean? Like, no drama. But like, these boys, they want to be in the Champions Leagues. They want to be in the big games. They want to be challenging for massive trophies and important things. This is your challenge. So the same way that we've seen a response today after the Gooners, where they had an opportunity not only to beat the league leaders at the time, but also to kind of show the rest of the league that we mean business. Well, the Gooners have done that right now because them beating us. They've gone to the rest of the league. Look, we mean business. We're the ones that can challenge Man City. It's the same way it's the same motivation that we can use from today and in this competition to bounce on and bounce forward. Do you know what I mean? We have to kick on forward. There was a massive change today. We've all said about the starts of games, and we've all seen it creeping in. But today we started on the front foot. Today we did press high. We defended high. We defended aggressively. We attacked aggressively. It was just that little bit, and I've got a really good feeling that it's coming.
I can see us sitting back against Brighton though. Brighton away. I can see the first 20 minutes us just going, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" But I mean, I'd love to.
Now you said your glass is half full, Darren.
Yeah,
5 minutes ago.
I know, but I can just. I know. I'm scared about the Brighton game. I'm scared about it. They've lost once this season. And they've been playing well. To draw 3-3 against Liverpool, they've been playing well. But I want to be proved wrong. I really do want to be proved wrong. If we can come out like we did tonight and start playing from the off, as Ricky said, then happy days. But I don't know. 5 minutes.
We'll come on to that in a minute. Craig, let's come to you. Any players that we haven't mentioned that deserve a mention tonight? Who are the standout players? Who would you give man of the match to tonight?
I thought Bentancur played very well tonight. I think Højbjerg played very well tonight. So for me, probably one of those two. If you had to push me, I actually think probably Højbjerg was just edged it over Bentancur, but really there's not much between them, to be honest with you. I thought they were quite solid tonight. And everyone else, I think Romero had a bit of a scary moment. There was a couple of times, actually. It was like he just let the player go. Emerson, Jesus. He took somebody on tonight. No, I thought Emerson had a couple of wobbly moments. I thought Dyer was pretty solid. But yeah, the two boys in the middle for me, either of them.
Darren, who's your man of the match?
None of them really. Emerson, Højbjerg looks solid. I'd agree with you. I like that little. Was that Cruyff turn he did? That was quite. I got as excited as when he did that as you did when Emerson Royal beat one man. Yeah, I thought Højbjerg was quite solid. Can we just have very quickly? I thought Lloris's distribution was dreadful tonight. Some of his kicks up and going, fucking hell. He doesn't learn, does he?
It's a strange one. I'm such a massive fan of Hugo Lloris, and I just feel so disappointed sometimes. Yeah, when incidents come into the game, which it shouldn't. Yeah. Frustrating. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, that was a tangent, but because I did make a note of that. Like some of his clearances were just like woeful. But yeah, as far as man of the match, yeah, I thought Højbjerg was quite good. No one played amazingly well, really. No one.
Glass half full.
Yeah, glass half full.
Rick, who would you give man of the match to?
I'm with the boys, the two boys in midfield. It was more of a team performance. It was more of a bounce back performance, and where it was back and forth the whole game from the minute 1 to the 93rd minute. You've got to give it to them two boys in the middle that not only protected but got that ball forward when they could. They're interchanging as well with the defenders. When Romero would go up and Højbjerg or Bentancur would come back to kind of cover it, or Dyer, when Dyer went up, or when Lenglet went up, the fact that those boys automatically switched into a defensive position to still give us a bit of shape, but still push us up the field, they were intelligent, they were energetic, they were on a mission the whole game. So yeah, either one of those boys. I think we could give it to Højbjerg for the little Zidane Cruyff turn there. You know what I mean? Like, why not? Why not? He's always there, plays every minute, has his heart on the sleeve, and he might not be bloody well a superstar. He might not be Zidane in the midfield, but he is always there. And he's always there to be relied on, and to kind of, and to be the man to take some type of responsibility. So let's give it to Højbjerg tonight.
Lenglet was solid, by the way. We haven't mentioned him, have we? I thought he had a good game. He was good.
He's growing into the game, isn't he?
Yeah.
He
Better than Ben Davies?
I prefer him, yeah, definitely. I like him.
Ricky, I want to ask all three of you this question before we talk about the Brighton game on Saturday. This week, particularly after the North London derby defeat, there has been so much negativity about our manager, Antonio Conte. Do you think it's fair? Are you surprised by it?
You can't wave the white flag in the North London derby on 70 minutes, bro. So at the same time that we have to accept him and trust in him, and in the press conference that he's come out in, he's like, look, trust me, I'll make the decisions. The same way he has to respect that for us against them lot down the road, that you cannot concede. I don't care what the score is. How many times has it been a 3-1 and we've brought it back to a 3-3, or, some just amazing, crazy games out there. I know after the red card, he most probably thought, let's save some of these legs for Champions League and for next week. But the same way that he's going to give out negativity to some of the players for when they make a mistake is the same way that he has to kind of accept a little bit of a responsibility, especially towards the fans, that you cannot wave the white flag on 70 minutes in a North London derby. So with that, I think it's fair, but also I think his response is fair. And I think that he's still the man to trust. I think that you've got to remember where we was. We wasn't even in the doldrums. We were at the bottom of the bloody well sea. Do you know what I mean? We were rocking out with bloody Sebastian from The Little Mermaid. That's how far down we were. Do you know what I mean? So he's pulled us up. And there's no way that any of us really. I think there might have been one or two, and I think Darren Hart was one of them that predicted top four. I was wishy-washy last year. A lot of us were wishy-washy. We don't know. We went week on week, and we made those predictions. Yeah. But Conte, and he put the message into him, and he rose the bar, and he said, "Show me what you boys have got with the squad that we had at that point," and they showed up. And I think he's going to do exactly the same. Sometimes, he lost against the Gooners when he was manager of Chelsea, and then went on to win the league. Yeah, it's about reaction. It's about seeing those mistakes, trying to do something about it, and trying to improve every single day. And I believe that he will do that. So it's okay to have a little, snipe at him a little bit and to give a bit back. But at the same time, I still 100% trust him to make the right moves and get us up into that big boy, league and stratosphere.
Craig, do you think it's fair, the criticism that Antonio Conte has received from the fans this week?
I think there's an element that says that I think he's justified. I totally agree with Ricky. He clearly threw the towel in after 70 minutes and was trying to keep the game at, was it 3 by then? I think it was, which is, I wouldn't say it's unforgivable because I could kind of see why he did it, but for him, it was obvious that the game had gone then and he was protecting players. Personally, I thought, why not sling on Jed Spence then? You know, why? You know, if you think the game's gone, it can't get any worse, surely. You know, and he might do something, and we might get back to 3-2 or whatever. And I don't know, but I think you know he gets paid the big bucks. We essentially pay his wages. Don't forget that he's an employee at Tottenham Hotspur, but we essentially pay his wages. So we are allowed an opinion, and I think the majority of fans would probably think similar to what I and Ricky have said there. You know, it's almost unforgivable throwing in the towel in North London derby, isn't it? You know, it's the one game, but
I get that. But last season, we would never, ever in a million years got top 4 without Antonio Conte.
No, absolutely. And that's why I would never sit here and call for his head or anything like that. I still think he's the man that's going to take us forward. I still think he's the man to stick with. I know it's frustrating sometimes. I get frustrated with his tactics and the way he plays. I don't agree with what all he does, but I still think we've got one of the best managers in the world and we've got to stick with him and trust him. But it's so frustrating. I don't need to say this, Chris, because you've said it many, many times. We've gone to Stamford Bridge, we've gone to the Emirates, and we've collapsed, we've fallen apart, we've played shit. It's just so soul destroying because knowing, do the players think like us thinking? Because I was thinking before that game we're going to lose at the Emirates. I kind of knew it, you know.
This is like for 30 years, though. For 30 years, we've won once away at Chelsea and twice away at Arsenal. It's just, yeah, horrible stats. Horrible.
But kind of Arsenal have got the kind of same thing when they come to us, haven't they? You know that will be exactly the same when they come to our ground. They'll be thinking the same. They won't be coming to ours confident of a win. Well, they might be, but you know, realistically, but with Chelsea, it's completely different. I don't get that. I'd love to. I think that needs a psychologist you could do an hour Emerson special on that about why we play crap at Stamford Bridge and why we play crap at the Emirates year after year after year. It's a very, very strange one. But going back to Conte, I think some of the criticism was justified. I want to hear the crowd singing Antonio again because it brings everyone together. You know, I'm sure he loves that as well. That has dissipated the last few weeks. But he's got to take the criticism. He's got to take it on the chin. I'm sure he will. But I think I would just say to everyone that's remotely interested, just stick with it, stick with him and see where we are after the World Cup and see what we do in the transfer window, more importantly, because I think we will go in and get some more players in January. He's actually said that. So I think we'll see some movement out and I think we'll see some movement in January. And I'm probably looking forward to a few podcasts around that time because I think our squad will look a little bit different come the end of January.
Mm-hmm. Darren, are you surprised by the negativity surrounding Antonio Conte this last week?
Well, no, and no, I'm not because we're not used to because we've had Nuno and Jose, but we want and we sort of expect as Spurs fans a certain style of play. And when we don't see that, and like we were discussing earlier on, when we see ourselves not playing for 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes, and we go a goal down and then see a reaction, it's frustrating when we say, you know, so when we get a game like tonight where we attack a team from minute one, it's the exception rather than the rule. So, it's understandable frustration. You know, I mean, you know, you open your beer, you sit down, and you think, oh, fucking hell, for 25 minutes, you know. So I understand the frustration. Would I want to see another manager at Tottenham? Absolutely not. No, I think he's the right guy. But having said that, as Ricky was saying, I'm confused more than anything why we don't go after teams and just, you know, certain teams, certain games, while we don't just absolutely batter them for 20 minutes, see how many goals we can score, and then see what's going on. So, no, I don't want anyone else, but equally, I do get the fans' frustration, and I'm sure we all, as much as he's our wizard, he's our magician, as we love to say on this podcast. It is frustrating. It is frustrating. I just don't see. I don't see when we've got a squad, like when we've got Kulishevsky playing, and we've got options on the bench. I just don't see why we can't just. From minute one, it's a mystery more than anything. I just don't get it.
If I'm honest, I am very surprised that we are in October now and Antonio Conte has not signed a new contract. I'm a little bit disappointed by that. I know that he is contracted at Spurs until the end of this season with an option to extend for a further year. I would have hoped that would have been announced or confirmed by now. Ricky, are you worried about that?
No, Chris, I've never been worried about the contract situation ever since he signed. Reason being that the contract doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to him. He's getting paid enough right now. He's secure. And also, we also know that he has a reputation of leaving, when he wants to leave, regardless of what the contract says. So I'm not worried about it. What I thought that contract was that both sides had to agree to the extension. But watching Ali Gold the other day, and he's reiterated this a couple of times, where it's down to the club. So Conte and his team have already agreed to an extension when the club are ready to trigger it. So the club can trigger it at any time. So there must be a reason for them. Maybe they're waiting, maybe they're just like concentrating on this first half of the season, get to the World Cup where not too much is going to be happening at Tottenham apart from working out what we're doing in January. And so maybe they'll do it over Christmas. They'll trigger the extension, or maybe they'll trigger it in January. But I have every faith that the club will trigger that extension. And then if there's a contract on the table for an extra couple of years, like a new contract with an improved wage, etc., I expect that kind of to come in the summer. So if that comes, and if Antonio Conte falls in love with us, then he will stay. If he believes in the project and believes that we're taking the right steps and going in the right direction, and fundamentally that he can win with us, then he will stay. But if those things don't happen, or if certain things don't click in the right place, then at least even on a club point of view, we will be in a better financial position if when he goes, we don't pay that much compensation, or there ain't that garden and leave or anything like that. So it doesn't worry me whatsoever. It's a bit like Harry Kane. Harry Kane has been linked with every club under the sun, and there's been media outlets every single transfer window that have sold him to other clubs for years. After he was a one-season wonder, and then it turned out he wasn't. But every single season after that, he has been linked with everybody else. The latest being Bayern Munich. But the way I feel about it is if Harry Kane's got a cockerel on his chest, then he's playing for us and he's with us. And it's the same way I feel about Antonio. While he's got a cockerel on his chest, he's with us. Enjoy him, support him, roar for him, keep singing that Antonio song, cheer the boys on. Let's get up. And let's get up like Eintracht, like Frankfurt did tonight. And be that 12th man, because Chris, you was witness to them giving energy and power to Frankfurt tonight when they needed it, when they were tired. So we've seen it work for us too. We done it against the Gooners last year. When the crowd need to turn up, they turn up. But it's time to start roaring these boys on and roaring Antonio on and let him fall in love with us, and that contract will be signed in no time. I wouldn't stress about it. And if he goes, he goes. It doesn't matter whether we offer him a contract or not. So honestly, there's nothing to worry about.
Can I ask a question? The 150 million that Enix gave us. How much have we spent? How much is that is still that boost? Do you know?
I think it was around 120 with Romero, I think, or without Romero. But at the same time, we've still got enough in the pot to go again in January. There shouldn't be no excuses in January. There's at least 30 to 50 mil there for us to use, from what I remember. But Chris is the transfer guru, isn't it? So.
Just very quickly before we go on to the Brighton subject, let's just go round all three of you. What do you expect in the January transfer window? Ricky, let's start with you.
I expect at least two. Look, they have to sign somebody, even if that's a winger, to let Brian Hill go back out on loan. Yeah, so that we have another forward option. But we know that there's gaps in our squad. If in January they can do a deal for Bastoni, and I don't want to rear everybody up and get everybody excited, but if they can do it in January, I believe that they will make it happen, even if he doesn't actually turn up to Tottenham until the summer. If they can do that deal, I think they'll do it. I think they're going to see where the gaps are, and I think they're going to try their best to improve the squad, whether that be a creative midfielder, whether that be getting rid of Emerson Royale and Doherty and bringing in somebody else on that right wing. That right wing back that can be trusted, you know. But those little gaps, whether it be creative or whether it be right wing back or whether it be left centre back, I see them making a move or two.
You think we're going to teach him to take a man on and then sell him? You're having a laugh.
Well, you know, I'm just saying. I'm just, you know. I mean, we can see the improvement. You know, by January he might be worth 50 mil, Chris. With you know, taking on the men. You forgot he blocked the shot as well. Like you mentioned that earlier. That's an extra 2 mil. 52 mil we could get for him in January.
There you go. Craig, let's come to you very quickly, and then we'll talk about Brighton on the on transfers. Do you expect much activity in January, because it's a difficult month to get deals done?
Yeah, it is. I think we'll bring in a couple. I'd like to see Ryan Gill go out and get his loan move, hopefully back to Valencia, somewhere he knows. Like I say, I think we'll bring in two. I'd love to see Maddison come in and, like Ricky said there, to get Bastoni over the line, but, you know, loan him back for 6 months. That would be great. I'm not entirely sure we're going to get rid of Emerson. I think we're stuck with him till the summer at least. Doherty may go out the door, but he's clear he does. If he trusted Spence and Spence gets a bit of game time, I think he'd let one of them go. But it's quite clear, and I can actually understand now why he didn't let Emerson or Doherty go, because it was clear he didn't like Spence. We all thought wrongly, we've signed Jed Spence, so one of the other two are going to go. When it's quite obvious that his plan all along was to keep hold of Emerson. I think the left-hand side sorted. That Udogie looks an absolute baller, so I'm really going to be excited next year. And I would hope personally you're going to have Udogie and Spence on either side. And I think then you'll see the real possibility of what the wing-backs can do. But I think this year we're kind of stuck with Emerson there, unless something happens with Spence. I don't think Doherty's going to find his form, sadly. I think like Ricky said, he had a few good games and then, you know, he got the injury or whatever. I just don't think he's up for it. But yeah, sorry guys, I think we're stuck with Emerson for now. But in answer to your question, I'd like to see a couple come in and attack a midfielder to boot. So, but we'll see.
What do you think, Darren, on the transfer window?
I'm not a transfer expert, to be honest, mate. I sort of, my eyes glaze over on Twitter until someone goes through the door. I still think there's a lot of holes. I don't think we've got proper wing backs. I'm sorry. I think that with Doherty and Royal, which we've covered to death, and I even think to a certain extent Perisic and Perez, I don't know. I just don't see what I want to see from those positions. I just don't. Do we need a creative midfielder? Is that the Conte way? Do we need like an Emerson or someone who can unpick a lock and play that, you know, that through ball? I don't know if he's got designs on someone in that position. I don't know. You guys will be better than me but that's something that I think that maybe we're lacking in.
Do you know the sad thing, Darren, just to jump in there, the sad thing, we have got that player that plays for Tottenham, Ndombele. He could play that role if only he bloody wanted to. That's the thing. That's the thing. If Ndombele could live up to his potential, Christ almighty, have we got a player there? But he doesn't, so we can't. Sorry.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on to the last subject. Brighton away this Saturday in the Premier League. Spurs are currently third. Brighton are fourth. They're right behind us, 3 points behind us. And as Darren said earlier on, they have only lost one. We've only lost one in the Premier League. The game that they lost, actually, was against Fulham away 2-1. They've beat Manchester United this season 2-1. They've drawn against Newcastle 0-0. They beat West Ham 2-0. They beat Leeds 1-0. They beat Leicester 5-2. And last weekend they drew 3-3 away at Liverpool. Trossard getting a hat-trick. And of course, Trossard scored against us at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium last season. Ricky, let's start with you on this one. They just had a change in manager as well. They're looking pretty decent this season. 10 games in Premier League history between the two sides. Brighton winning 3 of them, Spurs winning 6 and 1 draw. How do you see this one going?
I've got a feeling. I've got a feeling that we're going to play 3-5-2. I think Basuma and Spence is going to get a start. I know we've been speaking about it, but this is my prediction. And I think that it's going to be Kane and Sonny up front. And I think we're going to win 2-1. That's going to be my prediction.
Okay. That was quick for you.
Quick! I know. I was trying to keep it moving, bro. I was trying to keep
Wants to go to bed.
Song in and everything.
Craig, what do you reckon?
I would love that if Ricky's prediction came off. I'd love to see Spence. I'd love to see 3-5-2. But I think we're going to see Perisic on the right, Sessegnon on the left, and two in the middle with Højbjerg and Bentancur with the same front three we had tonight. I think we'll just edge it 2-1 myself. It's going to be a massively tough game. Don't ask me the stats. I haven't got them down, but I think we've struggled at Brighton in the past, haven't we? Didn't they beat us 3-0 a couple of years ago?
Yeah, that was.
It's going to be a tough game. Very tough game. It probably won't be an easy watch. I think they'll have a majority of the possession. They're still playing the brilliant football, you have to say, that Graham Potter instilled. Don't anybody think this is going to be an easy game, because it's not. But I do think it's a massive game in respect to the table, even though it's early. You know, it'd be lovely to, get 3 points clear of them. So, because they've got a game in hand at the moment on us. So, very important game. 2-1 Spurs, though.
Darren, what are you thinking? And before we talk about Emerson Royale, he's actually banned now for 3 Premier League games. So it'd be interesting, actually, what Ricky said about Jed Spence. Will he get his chance? Because I personally feel that Matt Doherty would be in front of him. But I do agree with Craig. I think that Perisic will actually start on the right.
I completely forgot about that. You're absolutely right. In that case, you reckon Perisic will start on the right?
Yeah, and I think Sessegnon will start on the left. That's my opinion.
Interesting. I reckon if we can come away with a draw, I don't know what the team's going to be. I reckon it'll be the same team. And would he start with Doherty instead of? I don't know. I think if we can come away with a draw, I'll be happy, actually. I think they're on a roll, and Trossard will be, licking his lips after getting that hat-trick. I think if we can get a draw away, I think, and a point, I'll be happy. I don't want to lose it, but I can't see us winning, unfortunately. And I know I'm contradicting what I said about the glass being half full. I know that. But I think
just once or twice.
Glass is empty.
I know. Well, listen. I'll tell you what. If we can go to Brighton, and get a point, if we can go to Brighton and get a point, there you go. My glass will be half full. How's that? I've reframed it.
Well done, Dal. You brought it back, there, Brad. You brought it back.
Reframed it.
So, what score prediction are you going with?
1-1.
Good grief.
1-1.
Right. So we've got 2-1 from Craig, 2-1 from Ricky, and a 1-1 from Darren. I'm going to go with Craig and Ricky. I think we're going to nick it. I think we're going to get the 3 points and win 2-1. Games are coming thick and fast, and then of course we've got Frankfurt back in the Champions League at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium the following Wednesday. So busy times coming up. Anyway, Craig, Ricky, Darren, thanks so much for joining me this evening. Ricky, tell everyone where they can find you on social media and what you're up to at the moment.
They know where they can find me. Everybody keeps sending me bloody well memes left, right, and centre. Craig, I see you, bruv.
Not me. No one doing me.
No, you can find me at Ricky J Norwood on Twitter and official Ricky Norwood on Insta. But you can find me on this show again after the game against Brighton. So make sure you tune in.
After the win. And just a serious question for you, Rick. How many times do you think you've seen the word Watford on your timeline in the last 12 months?
Bruv, I tell you which one gets me is the there's two that really get me. It's the Mr. Bean looking lost, and then there's that gif of John Travolta just looking like from Pulp Fiction. Those two get me, man. Those two get me. And there's a couple that continually get me, man, on Twitter. So thank you for all the love, guys. Thank you for sending them. They are quite funny. The Home Alone one was hilarious as well. Don't get me started. Well,
thank you, Ricky. And Darren, tell everyone where they can find you and what interesting projects have you got coming up?
So Twitter, I've just changed my thing to @Darren Altman. Do follow me, #needy, #love me. Interesting product. I don't know. I've been doing lots of adverts, radio ads. I don't know, funny voices and Halloween stuff. I'm doing loads of Halloween adverts where I have to say things like "Tonight's spooktacular." The spooktacular seems to be the word of the day, and scary voices. But apart from that, just being a dick on social media and stopping and changing my mind on this podcast.
You haven't done many impressions this evening. Is everything all right?
I haven't. We'll discuss that for another day, Chris. We'll when we have our therapy session, you and me, we can discuss that. But no, I haven't.
Have you been working on your Ricky Norwood?
On my Ricky Norwood? Why? No, I haven't. Not yet.
What about your Craig Dearman?
No. I've been working on my Glenn Oddle, as I say, and we'll be happy with that. Those 1v1s and those 2v2s, as I say, and you have to say he's as I say. So that's about it.
And Craig, thank you so much as always, and tell everyone where they can find you.
If they really want to find me on Twitter @Dearman9, I think I am. I must put it in my name thing there. But just very quickly, I think I was going to say earlier, next two Champions League games are at home. I think obviously must wins. If we win them two, I think we're more or less there, aren't we? So big games coming up. So got to make the most of those home games. But thank you everyone for watching. It's now tomorrow, so thanks for sticking with us.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much for all of your support. And as Ricky said, we will be back on Saturday after the Brighton game, hopefully talking about 3 points to Tottenham Hotspur in the Premier League. Craig, Ricky, Darren, thanks so much for your time this evening, and we will see you on the next one. Until then, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.